Indian Island. Even before anyone in our story actually got there, the place was already uh, steeped in mystery. Whispers about Hollywood stars, royalty.
Yeah, honeymoons, secret admiralty experiments, all sorts of things. It really fired up the imagination.
It's amazing how those rumors themselves kind of set the stage, don't they? They create this expectation that something unusual is going on there.
Definitely. And that's the mystery we're diving into today. We're looking at the very start of things on Indian Island using excerpts from this really gripping novel.
Right. Our goal is to figure out the initial setup. Who are these people showing up? What creates um, that feeling of dread right from the beginning? And the big one, who is this Mr. or Mrs. Owen?
Well, the first thing that strikes you is just how random the guest list seems. I mean, a judge, a secretary, an adventurer, a very proper older lady.
A doctor, a general.
Exactly. What could possibly connect them all? It almost feels deliberate, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, let's look at how they got there. The invitations. Mr. Justice Wargrave, a serious legal figure, gets this surprisingly chatty letter.
From Lady Constance Culmington, right? Talking about old times, communing with nature.
Yeah, hardly seems like the kind of thing to draw a judge to a remote island.
It's quite vague, isn't it? But it shows how even someone like Wargrave could be tempted by, well, nostalgia. A familiar name drops his guard.
Then there's Vera Claythorne. Young woman, needs a job, gets offered this secretarial holiday post.
Through an agency from Mrs. Owen. Looks like a lucky break for her.
But even as she's thinking about the job, her mind goes back to that coroner's inquest,
Yeah.
the one where she was cleared over a child's death, Cyril Hamilton. That detail feels loaded.
It really does. She wants this fresh start, but that past is clearly still there. The inquest, even though she was cleared, it hints at a vulnerability, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Now, Philip Lombard, totally different vibe. He calls it business, but he's got this casual letter offering a free holiday.
From a Mrs. or was it Miss Oliver? He can't quite remember. And he sizes Vera up immediately.
Yeah, calls her a cool customer. Says a lot about him, doesn't it? Very observant, maybe a bit cynical.
His invitation feels much more, I don't know, opportunistic. The confusion over the name, the free trip. And yeah, his assessment of Vera shows he's sizing everyone up.
And Emily Brent, she's also offered a free holiday. Again, by someone she barely remembers from years ago, a Mrs. or Miss Oliver.
Right. Her income's reduced, so the offer is tempting. But that hazy connection again.
It feels very intentional, that repeated vagueness, the similar name.
It does. Like someone cast a wide net using these flimsy, half-forgotten links and the lure of a free stay to pull people in.
General MacArthur gets his invite from a fellow Owen, supposedly a friend of old army buddies. He didn't even keep the letter, he says.
But he feels uneasy about it all. He expects to see old pals, which adds another layer. Are these connections real or just bait?
Yeah, his unease is strong. Maybe the memories aren't all good, or he just senses something's off about this whole reunion.
Then, Dr. Armstrong, the successful London doctor, his invitation looks more professional at first glance.
Right, a vague letter about consulting on a patient. A wife with nerves, supposedly. Comes with a big check.
A very big check. Enough to overcome any doubts about how vague it is, probably. And his thoughts about women and nerves, kind of dismissive.
Yeah, reveals a certain arrogance, maybe makes him less likely to question things.
And finally, Mr. Bloor, who shows up calling himself Davis.
His is the most direct, but also the most secret. He's actually been hired by Owen.
An ex-CID man, paid to watch the others. Given expenses, he's not just a guest.
No, he's an operative. His clumsy attempt to pass as a major and spotting the real military man, it gives him away almost instantly.
His presence changes everything. It means there's deception baked in from the start, organized by the hosts themselves.
So they all make their way to Sticklehaven, start meeting each other. You see Bloor trying to fit in, Miss Brent looking down her nose a bit.
Yeah, those little glances, the awkwardness, you can feel the tension, the lack of real connection. They're all out of place.
And the boatman, Fred Narracott. He's the local guy watching this odd group arrive. He's suspicious, too.
He's never met Mr. Owen. Everything arranged through a Mr. Morris, another name in the shadows.
Right. Narracott thinks the whole thing is queer, especially Anthony Marston turning up in that flashy car.
Narracott's view is important. He's the outsider confirming how strange this all looks. The fact that Owen is totally unseen, using this Morris fellow, it deepens the mystery.
And Vera, when she first sees the island, it's not the paradise she hoped for. It looks sinister, she thinks. like an Indian head.
That image is powerful, isn't it? The isolation, the shape. It's pure foreshadowing, sets the mood before they even land.
And the welcome. Well, there isn't one, really.
Yeah.
Rogers, the butler, meets them and says Mr. and Mrs. Owen are delayed. Won't be there till tomorrow.
So strange. They're all lured out here, and the hosts just aren't there. It immediately throws them off balance, forces them together.
Inside the house, Vera notices Mrs. Rogers, describes her as a pale, ghost-like woman. Looks terrified.
And Mrs. Rogers says she just got a list of names and rooms. Didn't know Vera was coming as a secretary. More confusion, more signs that things aren't right.
Her fear is really striking. It makes the house itself feel unsafe somehow.
Definitely. And then Vera finds that framed nursery rhyme in her room. 10 little Indian boys.
Seems innocent enough on its own, but here, it feels chilling.
Absolutely chilling. It's such a clever device. Seems harmless, but in this context, it's incredibly ominous, planting that seed of dread.
Things really kick off after dinner. There's this silence, and then suddenly, this voice. Loud, disembodied.
From a gramophone record, accusing every single one of them, and the Rogerses too, of causing death.
It's shocking, theatrical, and the accusations are so specific. Armstrong, death of Louisa Mary Cleese. Vera, Cyril Hamilton, Lombard.
Yeah.
21 men from an East African tribe.
Emily Brent, Beatrice Taylor, General MacArthur, his wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, Anthony Marston, John and Lucy Combs.
The Rogers, their old employer, Jennifer Brady, and Bloor, as Davis's, James Landor. It's a devastating
I
list.
think it's devastating. It shatters any sense of a normal gathering. And the fact that the voice knows all this, it's deeply personal, judgmental.
The reactions are all over the place. Shock, denial, fear. Mrs. Rogers is beside herself. Mr. Rogers, too.
Though Miss Brent stays remarkably calm, which is interesting in itself.
And then they find the gramophone, hidden away, rigged up to play into the room. So it wasn't supernatural. It was planned.
A deliberate, calculated performance. The setup confirms the theatrical, sinister nature of their hosts.
So the big question hangs in the air. Who is UN Owen? Rogers insists he's never met the man or woman, just got letters.
Typewritten letters headed from the Ritz Hotel. It adds this layer of respectability to cover up how incredibly weird and dangerous this all is.
They start comparing notes on how they were invited. And it becomes clear how flimsy it all was. Vague connections, names of people who are dead or far away.
Right. And some people even threw the letters away. There's no proof, nothing concrete. It really points to a careful plan playing on their individual situations.
And then Bloor comes clean. Admits he's not Davis. He's an ex-policeman hired by Owen to watch them.
Which immediately divides the group, doesn't it? He was working for Owen. Is he still? What does he know? Suddenly he's suspect number one for some.
Wargrave points out the key thing. Whoever Owen is, they know everything. Intimate details. Constance Culmington's handwriting, Marston's friend's nickname, the general's old pals.
That level of detail is terrifying. It suggests this isn't random, it's targeted. Maybe revenge?
Then they start trying to explain the accusations. Vera talks about Cyril drowning, the inquest clearing her.
What?
But her thoughts betray her guilt that up and down, up and down.
Anthony Marston just shrugs off the deaths he caused, calls it an accident, a beastly nuisance, shocking callousness.
Rogers fiercely denies hurting Miss Brady. Says there was a storm, the doctor was late, they did everything they could.
Dr. Armstrong gets vague about Louisa Mary Cleese. Maybe a hospital case long ago, but inside, he remembers. Operating drunk. Killing her. The sister covering for him.
Emily Brent offers no defense at all, just says she acted according to her conscience, but her thoughts reveal she turned out Beatrice Taylor for disgraceful conduct and the girl killed herself.
Unbending self-righteousness. And General MacArthur. He admits it, sending Richmond to his death. Felt no regret then, he says. Only later. Chilling.
These aren't simple denials, are they? There's guilt, concealment, justification, complex people with dark secrets.
Exactly. And just as they're processing all this, Anthony Marston takes a drink, chokes, and collapses. Dead.
Suddenly, it's not just accusations anymore. Dr. Armstrong checks him, declares it wasn't natural. Poison. Cyanide.
Potassium cyanide. It makes the threat terrifyingly real. The shift from words to action is incredibly fast and brutal.
They rule out suicide pretty quickly. Why would he? And where would he get cyanide?
So the horrifying alternative is someone else put it in his drink. When? How? They talk about the open window.
It marks the real start of the paranoia. Who had the opportunity? Who had the poison?
And the horror doesn't stop. The next morning, Mrs. Rogers is found dead in her sleep.
Armstrong says her heart just stopped. But after Marston's death, can they believe it? Emily Brent immediately says, conscience.
Which fits her worldview, but the suspicion naturally falls on Rogers too. They were accused together, he was acting nervous.
Vera remembers thinking Mrs. Rogers looks scared, never safe. It fuels the idea maybe Rogers silenced her.
But then Rogers acts, well, almost normal. Serving breakfast after finding his wife dead, it's deeply unsettling.
Creepy. Is he covering guilt? Or just in shock, trying to maintain routine?
And then Rogers makes the discovery that connects everything. Two of the little Indian figures from the dining table, they're missing.
Gone. One for Marston, one for Mrs. Rogers. The nursery rhyme isn't just decoration, it's a script.
A terrifyingly literal script. It confirms a deliberate unfolding plan. A countdown.
Then the final nail in the coffin of hope. The morning boat doesn't arrive.
No Fred Narracott, no escape. They are completely cut off.
They realize they're trapped. Stuck there until, as someone says, Mr. Owen has finished his job.
The isolation is absolute now. Total vulnerability.
They search the island, search the house again. Nothing. No one else is there.
And the house itself offers no comfort. It's modern. No secret passages, no hiding places.
Which leads to the most terrifying conclusion of all.
The killer isn't hiding in the shadows. The killer is one of them.
So let's just quickly recap. Strangers lured to an island. Dark secrets exposed by a mysterious voice. Two sudden deaths, matching a nursery rhyme. Two Indian figures gone. No escape.
The speed is breathtaking. From strange invitations to lethal traps in less than 24 hours, the intrigue has turned into raw fear.
And the question now is utterly terrifying for those left. Who is UN Owen? Which one of them is the killer? The paranoia must be overwhelming.
And the rhyme hangs over them, the disappearing figures. It's a macabre scoreboard. What happens next? Who's next? Will it follow the rhyme exactly?
Exactly. What does that rhyme mean for the rest of them? What kind of awful trap is this? As you think about their secrets, their motives, remember those missing figures? This is just the beginning.